1 second.
So. Oh, it's not quite yet.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the October 30th, 2023 meeting of the Board of Riley County Commissioners. Let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment in the audience? If so, yes, the podium. Okay.
I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, seeing none, we will go to commission comment. Mr. McKinley.
Get this note for what?
Oh,
After a meeting last Thursday, I went to the emergency shelter. He gave us a tour of the facility, and after lunch, were presentations from the local director and somebody from the state, some from Johnson County. Interesting that the presentation was good, but also at my table there was somebody from Johnson County area and one from Wyandotte County area, and we was talking about their problems. And they said they didn't have any kind of facility in either one of those counties like we have here. Yeah, and they're impressed. They said, "So what happens?" They said, "Well, they push them over into Missouri because there's some facilities in Missouri." And he kind of sheepishly said that. Later on, then I attended the city county USD 383 meeting about the Manhattan plans for Seco Park. There seems to be an effort for more cooperation there. And then that evening, I attended a meeting in Riley to discuss the Rural Riley County Foundation. And it's set up through the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation for the communities of Riley, Leonardville, and Keats. And Vern Henricks was there and discussed how the foundation is set up and what kind of things they can do. And Riley's already got something they're working on through that to fundraise for. And then Friday was the final master gardener. So bugs and pesticides. That case of being Saturday was very enjoyable.
yeah. So you went to the room.
I didn't then that's one of the games. Okay.
Commissioner Ford?
No mention of the Chiefs.
No.
We don't. Okay, fair enough. Thursday was a pretty busy day. I decided it didn't seem like it in real time, but it really was. So, post meeting, yeah, I too attended that event luncheon. Kind of a little deja vu for me at the emergency shelter for my time on the social service advisory board. The last time I took a tour there had a major catastrophe. Contractors working in there, and they knocked out the main water line in there, so there was water everywhere. Downstairs it was a lake, so much better condition this time out. Pretty good events. I too noticed there were several state legislators from other areas. It's interesting you said Wyandotte County because they're actually now discussing the idea of unifying come up on the radio. So it'd be interested to see where that goes. About the information was good. I actually stuck around afterwards and talked to staff from both of the agencies and got a little bit more background and insight on some things. Also on Thursday afternoon, I attended the groundbreaking ceremony over at Adair Law, Points Avenue. They're planning a rather large expansion on that current site, which will provide them up to 10 new offices for operations here in the Manhattan and Riley County area. Glad Tom and the other staff members and members of are making that commitment to stay here in the area, do their work from that location. So known Tom for a long time and went to school together. So he's going to stay in the community. Also on Thursday, took in the latest Council on Foreign Affairs state local officials webinar. This one was labeled AI and elections. Wow. That's all I'm gonna say. Wow. Jocelyn Benson, who's the Secretary of State for the state of Michigan, discussed how officials can prepare for challenges posed by AI in the United States elections. You might need to get started on this one. She spoke with Mark Rodenberg, who's the Executive Director for Center for AI and Digital Policy. They talked about AI technology and its implications for democracy and election security. And boy, I don't even want to get started on that, but boy, very robust question and answer session followed after that. And it didn't hit us this year. That's going to be, it's going to be interesting down the road, just to say the least. So something else we're going to just have to get used to and prepare for. I also listened in on KAC's October's Connecting Kansas Counties. That's a Zoom webinar. This one was called What is the Kansas Forest Service? Presenters were Jason Hartman, State Forester, and Darcy Paul, GIS analyst from the State Forest Department, discussed the Kansas Forest Service. And there you go, fifth oldest in the nation. I didn't know that. So, and the 30-person agency is actually housed here in Manhattan, by the way. So they talked about several district offices and special programming those offices provide. And they also discussed most of its programming staff and showed how many of its services can benefit your communities as you would need those services. So, and then lastly on Thursday, I attended the special, I'm going to call it special city county school district. I didn't know what other cool name to come up with there, so I'm just calling it that. But that meeting was at City Hall, was discussed Seco Park. Commissioner McKinley, I think, laid that out pretty well. Thought it was a needed conversation in terms of Seco Park. There's just so many different moving parts at this particular point in time. Anybody vested interest needed to at least sit down at the table and at least have a discussion. So more should come on that as probably we move forward over the next year or so for sure. So Friday night, Manhattan High won its opening round game, Class 6A playoffs, 69-14. Really wasn't much of a game. I guess their next matchup is against Lawrence Free State. That's probably going to be a little bit of a closer game. K-State won 41-0 against Houston. I guess Houston really does have a problem. I see what I did there. It wasn't very close, much like the Manhattan High game. They look pretty good. We'll find out how good they are, I guess. It's upcoming Saturday when they play Texas on the road. Assume that's going to be pretty much a spot in the Big 12 championship game for the winner, at least put them in the driver's seat. And my Jaguars beat Pittsburgh yesterday. They just cannot seem to win easily. It's got to be ugly no matter what they do. But at least for now, they're the third seed in the AFC playoffs, tied.
You just like Trevor Lawrence, that's all there is to it.
There's a couple other reasons too, but yeah, that does help. They're 6-2, same record as the Chiefs, even though they have a golden tiebreaker. See how that works out. They got a couple of tough games, including Baltimore, Cincinnati, and San Francisco still. We're also at that time of the year where I have to remind everybody that there are two types of people. Those who know that candy corn is not an actual candy, and those who are wrong. I'll leave it at that. That's all I got today.
I don't like candy corn anyways. I'm corn or that. Okay, Thursday afternoon, I attended the city county USD three meeting at City Hall with the agenda focusing on the Seco Park. Park is owned by three entities: Riley County, USD 383, and the City of Manhattan, with the county owning the majority or the largest portion of the park. So all groups had 20 minutes to discuss their needs for the future, and thanks to Clancy, he was a great timekeeper. We kind of went back and forth discussions. So I think it was a good conversation, one that needed to happen, and I'm hoping there'll be more of those going forward. After the meeting, I went over to the First Lutheran Church and helped with a community meal that was being served there. We served about 86 meals, adults and children, and a lot of seconds. So it was pretty busy. We actually ran out of food towards serving. And let's see, Friday, caught up with household chores, spent some time working in the yard prior to the freeze that was forecasted for that night. Didn't quite get it that night, but it did last. So Also review the agenda and paperwork for tonight's meeting. Saturday, I did go to the K-State Houston football game. It's pretty cold up there in the stadium. But fortunately, it didn't rain. And it was really a good game. I like the outcome. So I didn't really expect that. Then today I spent some more time in the office, reviewing some paperwork emails, reviewing the agenda again of reports for this evening's meeting. I also spent some time with Elizabeth, HR director. We talked over various issues going on, employees, various things. So anyway, that's all I have. So
Ready for business, commissioners?
yes,
First item we have, need a motion for the notice for Keats Sewer Project feasibility public hearing.
that's the one where we have to have a hearing because of the increased cost.
We'll probably have to have another one because of the increased cost. Sounds something that entirely cost. This doesn't seem to. Just don't seem to ever get out ahead of that one.
Keeps going up. I think it may start moving here pretty soon. So let's see.
I guess the motion would be to have the chairwoman, make a motion that the chairwoman sign the notice of public hearing for the feasibility of the Keats project for morning of November 16th, 2023 at 11:05 a.m.
Second.
So then moved and seconded to approve the chairwoman's signature on the public notice for the public meeting for the Keats Sewer Benefit District on November 16th. Right? Aye.
Please.
That's a long legal description.
Yes. A motion to approve change order number 1 for the North Riley County EMS station, the amount of $2,567.61. With Schultz Construction Inc. for a new contract sum of $801,567.61.
Now I got a question.
Yeah.
They didn't anticipate this to begin with, in the original contract.
Correct, David Adams, the same director. Yes, it was designed for, because it's a slab building, so the water goes up through the ceilings. And it was designed that the water line would be covered by the insulation through the ceiling. So once the building got started, got in there, had some concerns about that. Whether there was gonna be enough insulation, can be packed enough to keep that water line from freezing. So that is why they came to us and said, hey, here's a concern, but we can wrap this so we know that there won't be any issues. And so we decided at that time for that cost to just be on the safe side and just wrap it and just make sure we don't have a busted water line in the ceilings of this new building. So
Yeah, there's two sets of drawings that both look the same. Is there a reason for
yeah,
that?
that's what they had presented to me. I'm not sure, I really couldn't see much of a difference, but that was what was in the packet. So
I like the same thing.
I wonder if they just put the same thing in there twice, but I couldn't tell the difference, but I just put the packet that is part of the change order. I try not to get through there and discern it and disseminate it, so. Because as soon as I do, I'll miss something. They'll think, oh, there was one little different, but yes.
You're almost like super wrapping.
Yeah, it's the water line that goes the entire length of the building. So, but yeah,
But that one that goes under the island, that's already in the.
that's this is just through the ceiling. So, because it comes in and it splits off to go to the laundry room, that splits off to go to the bathroom, and then goes fully, and it splits off the outside water, the outside, so there's quite a bit of length in there. It's not just one quick simple one. Yeah, this is more of a branch, Steve. It branches off multiple places.
Poor soul had to crawl up there and do that.
Yeah.
And that's a fast moving job. That's where it batches in the leg.
Yeah. easily.
So they did this
I
prior,
fall through addicts doing stuff.
they did this prior to the completion.
Yes, correct. They did this during the construction. So,
I'm gonna make a motion for a change order one for the Leonardville EMS station, in the amount of $2,567.61. Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the change order for the, Leonardville.
thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Anxious thinking it took too long, but I see the completion date from the contract. Send it by.
Right,
So
yep.
we're
Well-
ahead, but it just.
And I sat on this for a week and a half because we're gonna have some credits on a couple things. So I wanted to get it all done and wrapped up and do it one fell swoop, but it just wasn't coming together that quickly. So I've sat on this for probably a week to 10 days.
But it took an awful long time versus.
Yeah.
It's ahead of time, but almost.
But yes, we still got time.
So they.
We're operational. We're up and moving.
Oh, like I said, saw 2 runs. Yeah. Afternoon.
Everybody doing well with it?
They are. They're getting settled in. So.
Next, commissioners, I need a motion to sign retail dealers to 2024 cereal malt beverage license for Stag Hill Golf Club, 4441 Stag Hill Road, Manhattan, Kansas.
We did one of these recently. Are we doing them for an event now or?
This is the final copy of it, I think.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
just approved it.
License expires December 31st, 2024, so this will just be the full year.
I make a motion to sign a retail dealers 2024 cereal malt beverage license for Stag Hill Golf Club. Address.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the retail dealers 2024 cereal malt beverages license for Stag Hill Golf Course. All in favor? Aye.
Sure. Sign. Next, Commissioner, Raleigh County Personnel Employee Action Forms, Amy Stockton, new hire as needed, on-call juvenile intake assessment officer. Hunter Marquez, a new hire as needed volunteer firefighter stipend, Riley County Fire District #1. Barbara Craig, a new hire as needed election board worker, clerk election department. Marie Martin, as needed museum assistant, museum department, separation of service. All 3 signed, please.
I was thinking. School started the week.
It was like, it's 110 degrees outside.
Any changes in the minutes, commissioners?
Go ahead and make a motion to the approved minutes as written from the October 26th meeting.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded, to approve the minutes as written from the October 26, 2023 meeting. All in favor?
Jenny's look, commissioners?
Should be something for proclamation on Operation Greenlight on the 6th.
They'll get it to us as it's coming from.
Cindy already has it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she probably just hasn't updated. Operation Greenlight.
Yes.
Anything else, commissioners? No. Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners? Okay, next we have Mr. Holman at 6:30. The big winner of last week's game is Commissioner McKinley. He's on a bit of a roll,
What was it?
45-14.
and the office today, so I went in and looked, I thought they all, we were all pretty close.
Yeah.
It was pretty close on that.
Nobody had a zero on it.
No,
I didn't, I thought.
Defense hasn't given up a touchdown in 9. I'm still trying to figure out this. Let's run the goalposts and throw them in the lake.
Did they throw it in the lake? I saw the picture of
Well, they
them
always-
down.
Gotta be a story.
on campus.
Yeah, I've done it.
They kept us from doing that. Over the past few years, I remember my group was once, few times.
Once somebody ran down the goalpost. In 98, they don't. I don't even know what the place is now.
Yeah, they used to take it down to
I was thinking
Aggie.
down to Aggieville.
Yeah.
Went down the street. Seen that out there.
Security.
May or may not have been part of that one, but
Yeah, and I would have a piece of. He has a piece of.
we're saying something too that like the following morning they were out there putting up brand new goalposts like they already had them for some of the people.
He's got those.
There was one year, was it 92 or 93? We beat KU and Lawrence and we tore their goalposts down. And did throw them in a lake, I'm pretty sure.
Insult to injury there.
Home, so I thought looking at it. I think it was all bandaged up.
It's close as one off the. That's what they're playing. Tape stuff, so.
Like 2 tail strips on there.
Literally. I'm Jews this morning.
Oh, shit.
The announcers just to put something up to yardage per game when she's there and yardage per game when she's not. I'm like, really?
They've been talking about that for a while. New stat line.
Great.
Well, it's bringing a lot of other Kansas City.
Super Bowl champs. I mean, do you really need any more notoriety? No. I'm not. I'm not, so I guess I don't get it.
But Kelsey is.
Does Philadelphia has the best record in the NFL again? After 8 games. So everybody forgot, the World Series is tied up in the game of thieves.
Something I had not kept track of.
Maybe Taylor Swift needs to show up at one or two.
That would work. I'd actually be a fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First World Series of 2 dome teams. Retractable dome teams.
Just hoping K-State gets to make it back to the dome game this year in football. Oklahoma State, and we gave up on them early.
Yeah.
But they'll be walking again, you out the door.
Look at Iowa State. I mean,
You either schedule
well, I know.
playing Texas, K-State. You put the last 4 games, I could say. Like, no, this year, things.
Matchup against Texas.
Meyer must have had a heck of a speech for the Canadian football team. You went and spoke to him last week.
Particularly the kicker.
I think, right?
Good evening, Commissioners. Clyde T. Holden, Riley County Councilor, our most central point. What you have in front of you is the usual project list. The material that's Alex. It's far enough away from you. You're gonna have to tell me, see something cool.
Don't have this memorized, Clancy.
Indigent legal services, you have it. Correct.
The only thing on that I would say is we've had a couple of invoices turned in that are gonna need to be dealt with. I'm surprised we haven't had more that do not follow the court's direction about the hourly rate. We'll have a conversation about that at some point. That's, I think, not a great surprise. I'm really surprised there are more. And I've not had any contact from District Court on the subject. We had a conversation. 3 months ago, maybe, about this. Kate, I was willing to sit down with anybody who wanted to talk about the nature of the contract. I didn't find the judge, the RFP in the contract, say exactly what the county's last offer, so we'll just have to see where it goes.
What happened to that last one that was dealt with?
Last one,
The last one that was billed too high.
we didn't,
That went back to the court.
now,
What happened?
we're holding on to,
To two, okay.
and we'll be talking about. Seeing anything particular interest, but if you have questions about any of these or anything, we'll work on it in my office. Shelley's, he's no longer due. Can't legitimately call somebody who's been here 6 months or new in the county, but getting her feet under her, finding out exactly what Craig was doing all those years. So, and I'm glad she's doing it. Be glad to, again, as I said, answer any questions you got on anything, but if you have none, I have nothing else to run by.
Let's talk some legislative stuff.
We can do that.
Got the legislative conference scheduled, correct?
So on the 14th of December, at 2. I've heard back so far. I'm behind on email a little bit, so it could be something's come in. As of last week, I heard from 2 legislators, but I mean, we picked a date where at least 4 of them said they were available, so I expect they'll appear. I did go ahead and invite Jay Hall and both contract lobbyists, and decides that it is going to be in person, it will be virtual. In fact, right now I'm putting together the agenda for that. I expect that to go out later this week.
Is that one just the 2 issues or?
1611 also.
Okay.
Senate Current Resolution 16. Got to get information on it. We have it. I'm going to attach to the agenda. I intend to attach to the agenda the letter that our county appraiser wrote at the conference or whatever it was. It was really in response to the request from the KDC policy committee that everybody contact their county appraiser to find out if they thought sending current resolution 1611 was a good idea, freezing property tax values regardless of what the market says, capping them 4%. Always sounds like a good idea. And then the market changes. And then soon you got exactly what our appraiser has warned about, is that you'll end up with the people paying the lion's share of it. Will be those people with the lowest value homes. The people paying the least will be the people with the highest value homes. Which turns a uniform and equal rate of assessment on its head. That constitutional provision. And I'm pretty confident that I gotta believe most appraisers, I can't say most appraisers, I don't know, county appraisers think statewide, but I know our county appraiser believes that that's a recipe for eventually reappraisal, statewide reappraisal. And anybody who went through that knows how much fun that is and what a drain on resources that is to go back and fix. When values get wildly enough out of phase across the state of similar properties, that's what's going to happen.
But I mean, how often has it been over? You know, the 10 years before that, it had been 4%.
Not that I don't know. I imagine.
It's often, I mean, the last 2 years, you know, before that.
Well, exactly. You know, it was based on this solution. It's not one of the
Based on 2 years.
is an anomaly. You know, we're going to change the rules. Well, we're going to change the Constitution. We're at least going to give people a chance to vote on it across the state. And it'll be appealing. It's got the kind of language to it that if you don't, if you aren't looking for what's going to happen as a result.
Be appealing on an election here.
Right. That may have something. But it was still, I think for me, one of the most irritating things is if that happens and we go to state bank, state way appraisal somewhere down the road, the same people that put this in place will then be some of the tax representatives and those folks who got us to that will then be arguing the other way. Look how wild, look how valued that's up. One, yeah, different level of government is going to be blamed for it. That's going to be the counties that have had to raise their mill levies because they have a smaller total pie to draw money to pay for the services that constituents want. It all seems real simple. Talk about it. To care more about something other than your own reelection. Oh, did I say that?
So that it'll be interesting to see how many people run for re-election and how many people be new to the equation, what that balance is for both chambers, because the full legislature's up, obviously. So that'll be an interesting dynamic, and interesting to see what that does to leadership on both sides of this, because that's really the issue at the end of the day. Mindset is and what that framework and vision will be, both during election and then post. So we got to figure out. That's what'll make session fun this year. I say that in the broadest of terms.
It will be interesting. Yes, there'll be a lot going on. And hopefully not most of it. I hope not most of it's at the end of the session. Right.
That never happens. Come on.
Nope. That ray of gloom in my
Communication, interesting.
yeah. Someone meant to check. I don't know if they've had their last policy. They had not.
I got to think on that last one. I'm just going to be neutral.
I don't see how they are.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be neutral.
Yeah.
Such a small number of counties supporting. That's for them.
Have a bit of break, commissioners, at 6:50. We have Director Pete, RCPD.
Well, that's on the road one for the year, county. So. I hope we continue this next year.
There, right? But it's not really. Listen.
Sure is the sun spinning. Like, oh, that's what it is. Oh,
They all bought it. They had that center
Oh,
site was like the department store on the corner. But they picked up bunch of signs like that. It's like,
okay.
they closed for a long time, but it's still, everybody still calls the site. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, they've been there for a while.
So must be.
Yeah, it's right, it's right on the corner, right across the city. So,
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that the last time we were doing this.
They didn't do a lot to the facade outside. Kind of kept it pretty basic and plain. So,
Yeah. Wouldn't be the. But
or Lance Sharp. Yeah, there was just services that it did. These guys don't insurance. Son was. Her second year. And daughter, 2 years ago.
oh, okay.
Oh, 2 old stars, so now. For the next few years, so. 2 more boys.
yeah, I had a conversation
But,
about that.
They have a lot of.
I don't know, they just, they did, bought it. Got it over. It's inside of it. But I. So they were fine, man. So I filled up the choice. Gonna make the. Your part of it. Yeah. Yeah. So you stage at the city, so the hotels here are full.
Yeah. Stay away, like empty seats. When the stay there, yeah.
I had to take this. It's a cold rain.
Yeah.
Since,
Yeah, that's, well, they kept saying it's gonna rain.
it wasn't that bad, but every once in a while they had.
I didn't do it during last year. And poured out and they stopped, they had to stop.
Yeah,
And everybody I was with, we had, they all left.
yeah.
And I just, they were out. Yeah.
I was like on Facebook, we had pictures. Rain, ponchos on, pouring. I thought that's what was gonna happen Saturday. We changed the forecast. Earlier in the day.
Down here across the.
People on the other, east side, the sun. And see that sun goes around.
Benefit of the.
Yes.
I don't want that. It's evening, it was good. They.
Yeah.
See, not.
Yes. Impressed with it, but it's okay that.
That is. Sun.
We think about. Friend, the chance they come and stay here. Scotty.
Let's see, that's.
No, I thought I heard that, you'd be excited.
Yeah, well, but. It's the team. Yeah, sure. And yes, got a friend. But it's. Because about, you know.
My daughter, my teenage daughter is stressing me. She waited until tonight to try to find ears for her Halloween costume. Well, but apparently somewhere in her room are some of those Great Wolf Lodge ears, wolf ears.
Yeah.
She's gonna spray paint those over. I don't know. It still work.
Excellent, so you get close to the end of the trick or treating years.
I mean, are you ever really, I think,
That's right.
Yeah, the end of the day, it's a pretty tall trick or treat.
I guess as an adult, the prize will get a.
well, she's a junior this year, so. Yeah, she'll be.
You get a lot out
Better. Later in the evening.
I know.
That's a he said here, just take it. Just take it. You get that for it. Sit here, just take it. It's yours.
I just put people out of the. But the reason.
And dad, parents are looking at stuff. Stuff with the mummy or something. Yeah, we can walk up and
The kids chance thought.
stay right here, already here, and then we went downstairs. So here's a couple of the end shit. We've had just a very straight white fairy. I think he didn't move as a baby. He came all the way back down, jumped out of the chair. I mean, this was all, I mean,
Two blocks,
down the street, the curb, missed the curb, we were halfway through the street. There's kind of having some night here right now.
Yeah, better do. Well, really doesn't.
Myself. You may have it.
Dollar General words,
Oh, yeah.
because they marked it down 25%.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good.
Keep it, yeah.
Life care grant, so we clerk stuff, so I can't get this.
Definitely gets heated during election season.
Yeah.
It's chilly.
How's it going?
Growing up, that
That was
was behind
difficult.
back up here.
The city school. You love. But,
Oh, my God. You never know.
just don't. That's the thing. You never know what's gonna just change your personal life that day. You know, it gets. It's absolutely.
Yeah, but you go back down this paper there. Got a bunch of choices next year. For the next team.
Then 3 elections. Yeah.
I spent on video 4 years ago.
The legislature, their implement wisdom to take your tax dollars.
Richard, be proud of you. Friend. She just turned 18 a few months ago. And she's like, well, I thought I had to wait for this card to come in the mail before I give up. I was like, no. Just check it online. Just go down there and they'll figure it out.
Good deal.
I didn't know if I'd get in trouble. You're not gonna get in trouble. Go back. Need everybody to vote. People to vote.
Good deal. Good.
Politicians don't really look at that. Already, it's just.
Every year, and I look at the numbers. Oh, we had 18% turnout.
That's the big revenue state.
Yeah.
Behind that.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
you know. Oh, it's things given. We're asleep. We're asleep.
Okay, we're ready to play right.
Good evening.
Clancy, Mr. Fargo, Brian Pete, the Riley County Police Department. Mr. Adams wanted me to make sure I spoke extraordinarily slow and articulate due to his time crunch today. But in all seriousness, there are a few items I wanted to bring to the commission's attention. The first being, of course, we've had a recent bit of high-profile incidences within the county. Looking first at the shooting incident that happened with the three individuals, we have three individuals who were injured. We have three folks in custody. We have one who's left outstanding, and the investigation section as well as our patrol are working diligently to identify this person and then to effect that arrest. So I'm extraordinarily confident that we'll have some more news on that hopefully by next month as we move forward. Then, of course, we had an unfortunate incident that happened over the weekend that made the news regarding one of our A-State students was involved in a disorderly conduct or a fight/brawl at one of the bars down in Aggieville. So, of course, we are working with the city prosecution's office regarding that particular incident. The second part is the end of the year funding for the Riley County Police Department. So we're anticipating that we're going to have roughly about a $500,000 gap in our health insurance. So of the monies that we've got, that's for the projection. So of the monies that we got that we anticipate having from a salary savings, we're going to take a significant amount of that and apply that towards that stopgap. And then we're also going to again, we want to have a significant amount of money for carryover for next year so that we're not affecting all of the taxes and moving forward. So as we move within the next couple of weeks, we'll be letting the law board know what our priority spending will be for end of year funds. But again, we're going to make sure that we're very frugal, but a majority of it's going to revolve around against safety initiatives and different projects, programs like that. The third item is the feasibility study. So we have officially started the feasibility study with Mr. McMillan's firm. They will be coming in talking to the division captains within the next week or two and looking at drawing everything up. So hopefully sometime in January, we'll have a good idea of what our projectional costs may be if looking at an expanding facility. Again, this is something that I am fully aware that I'm not going to make this an essential priority for the county commission. Once we have an idea of what something like this may cost, we'll be looking at federal funding and other things like that to potentially pay for it. So as we move forward, I will be in very close contact with Mr. Fargo's office. And again, this is not an expectation on the department's part, but we're just looking to see that we have a shovel-ready product in the event that there's federal funding that's out there that's available that we could use for something like this. The fourth item is that the department has restarted the fair and impartial policing group with community members within the county. Again, the fair and impartial policing group is just a group of concerned citizens who want to look at the policies, procedures, and how RCPD operates to making sure that we are a fair and impartial policing department. So we're extraordinarily excited about that. We've had roughly 17 members of the RCPD group that has volunteered to work hand in hand with this group. So we're extraordinarily excited about that moving forward. The fifth thing that I wanted to mention was the crime reduction. And I mentioned to the county commissioners last time that we are looking at bringing up a whole inclusive plan and strategy of how we're going to work with community partners and stakeholders to reduce crime within the area. We'll be talking about within that plan, it talks about some of the elements related to where crime may start from and some of the focuses that we're going to be looking at. So within the next coming months, I'll be doing town halls within all parts of the county as well as within Manhattan to get the ideas and again, the concerns of our citizens that we serve, and then to include that into it. So it's not just going to be, hey, here are the stats, but the huge thing is all of you all know that there's a perception issue. That is reality. So I want to make sure I understand the perception of what folks have as we move forward with this with the crime reduction plan. The final issue to talk about is the good news of the Riley County's consolidation, that we're at the 50-year anniversary. So come January, all throughout the year, we'll be celebrating and having events here and there for the community, as well as to celebrate within the department of our university consolidation. Other than that, I stand ready to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Do you know what is the reason for the stopgap or the gap with money? Health insurance, is there a major reason you figured out why there's that big gap?
We've had, unfortunately, it's been a year that we've had employees or family members within the department that have been dealing with some significant medical issues. So the projections of where these folks is in fighting these issues, the projections of where the costs are, just an abundance of caution is we're looking at. We're hoping for a good, again, solid year, but in the event that it goes that level, we want to make sure that we're fiscally prepared. The other good news about that one as well, potentially good news, is that if we don't hit that threshold next year of what our anticipated medical cost would be, then we'll still have a significant amount of stopgap funding within it. So next year we'll be able to apply. We need to apply as much money, we still have a good reason.
And is that in the insurance coverage or in other costs?
It's primarily within the insurance. Yes,
Is it because you're self-insured?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why.
that's what the problem, okay.
It's like everybody else, it's gone up 6, 8, 12%.
Yes, and unfortunately,
It's a killer.
it is a killer, and what we found that it's the prescription costs that have shot up exponentially rather than just the medical cost, and those are going up, but we were all saying in the meetings that we came into the wrong line of businesses. I'm speaking from ignorance here, but it almost feels like you can just say, hey, well, mark it up X amount of percent and you're gonna have to pay because everybody needs to live, right? So so please don't sue me, anybody out there. I understand what the perception is from somebody who's not as educated within that, but just every year, the amount of blood prescriptions have been shooting up has been it's been a significant impact on all of our government budgets.
Also, when our inmate medical costly.
Oh, yeah. Those have gone up as well.
That was gonna be my question, where are we sitting at?
I think we're still at an ADP of roughly of just under 130. I think we're bouncing around. Last week we were at 125.
Going in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction. We do have a few individuals who I think we're ready to send out to KDOT. It just are I'm sorry, not KDOT, but to corrections.
Okay.
It's but so yeah, we'll work as fast as we can. Let's try to get that turnover so we can get it out of the office of our county and then into the coffers of the entire state.
KDOT needs employees, so.
I can more than answer any other questions you have, because Mr. Adams wanted me to make sure I was up here to be very thorough and concise.
I wanted you to be as good as you can be.
That's a low bar.
That's a low bar.
Don't talk very
We're making a
slowly.
comparison to the next person.
And we'll hire this stuff.
Absolutely.
Don, may I make a statement, may I make a comment, sorry, and compliment to the rest of the team as possible. Director Payne, I just want to let you know, as a member of the Civilian Advisory Board, inviting us to the jail, and inviting members of the Civilian Advisory Board to actually tour the pods, was very eye-opening, to some of the members there. And it did give a lot of people a fresh perspective, not only of what, Captain French and all the great COs are doing, but also of what happens down there. It's, generally, of course, jail's a bad place. But for the board members to be able to kind of see the day-to-day and also see how it's operated was very eye-opening to some of those that had never been in that type of environment before.
Thank you. It was a treat. And I sincerely appreciate the CAB members willing to do that. I especially take that very, very seriously because we are service oriented I respond to our elected officials, I respond to our county commission, to our law board. But anyone in the street who passed something, that's who I work for. So I want to make sure I get that feedback and and it was great because the members of the cab who were in there, they were asking questions to the folks, to the inmates, as well as the workers, to seeing if they had our workers, if they had the support they needed from the department, and then as well as the inmates, making sure that we're on the up and up, that we have the integrity that we say we do. And I was extraordinarily thankful for that, that it's not a rubber stamp, that the CAB takes its job extraordinarily serious.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, you have David Adams at 7:05. Yeah, now we get to dark early.
Change it.
Oh, yeah, him and what's his face? What's his name?
Let's go on.
Yeah.
City uploaded that this afternoon.
Takes a village, but we do our best.
Especially when, yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, that was not me.
That's what David's.
No, I didn't remember. That wasn't me who said that.
What was that?
You gonna tell him? You said, he said. He called me Hillary Garden.
No, I was giving credit for the quotation.
Called a payroll deduction.
Has nothing to do with that.
Department head evaluations coming up?
Yeah.
Boy, it just got quiet over here, didn't it?
Well, but Barry does mine for me.
Does he?
Did you see mine last year?
Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Barry
that.
wrote one for me.
I remember that. Yeah, that was horrible.
Spot on. It was spot on.
Like we said, it takes a village. It takes a village.
They were giving me a hard time in department meeting. Very big writing. Realize the level of his brilliance till that moment. So,
Yeah.
For a different name.
but the Apple complex.
Deal work.
Now, I got some adjectives for that one. Didn't mention them here, but I've got some for that.
It's 7:05.
My monthly update. I'm a couple of weeks late. My normal day was the day we opened up the new station. That was our first day. Then just last couple of weeks, life has just gotten away from me. So I appreciate Cindy getting this put in, and it's just she was asking me about it last week, getting it done, and I thought I had another week. So, but here we go. September, 459 calls for service, so as compared to August, which we expect. Back in town, the games, just more traffic. North County, we had 22 calls. We couldn't really separate it out because we used the same designation number. But still, it's 22 calls up there. Breakdown by station, Medic 11 located at 2011 Claflin, we had 153 calls. 21 at Station 2 at the City Hall, 144. 31 out of Public Works, 86. And then 41 at the airport, 76. And then out of those 22 calls that we had in North County, 11 were part of that ALS purchase box before we went live. So going forward, it'll just be one, I'll probably just remove the North County, just do Medic 51, just like I do everything else. So, the rest of the calls are event standbys and supervisors writing reports as we do. Working on the new building construction related topics, the headquarters, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing is at 90%. I had a meeting with, it was mainly more of IP meeting with ArcImages and the engineer on just the wiring, the routing of all of the different plugs and plugins and things that they had in the conduits, and when did they want what kind of conduit, where when did they want Corey wanted and such. So it's really mainly Corey and Chris with the engineers and ArcImages, but I was there obviously as well. So we got a big set of the plans, the drawings, if you will. And then a week ago, Monday, Corey and I and John went through those plans page by page, pretty in-depth, better part of 4 hours working through them. Had some questions, but sent us off to ArcImages. Have not heard back from them, but they replied that they'll look into these questions. So we're moving along. ArcImages last week also met with the city and with county staff to start working on the rezoning and some of the different conditions for the building that we need to do for the city. They came away from the meeting very happy that the city staff were very willing to work with us, and the code enforcement from Manhattan Fire was there and helped everybody from the city kind of understand, yes, this is an ambulance station. Yes, they have commercial, stoves, but we're not doing commercial cooking. So we don't need to have these grease traps and some of these other things in place. So, but it's moving along pretty well.
I do have one question in terms of county city cooperation there. Has there been any talk about the intersection there? Claflin and what is it, Charles Little?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I know we've talked about it in the past. The problem was the hill coming down for that hill.
Yeah.
So I know at one point 15 years ago, there was talk about putting in a light there or a flashing light. But I think if I recall, it was, well, okay, yeah, if the county wants to pay for it, type of thing. So long time ago, a lot of people have come and gone, obviously. But
I think that's something we're gonna have to consider, because if it's not gonna just be you there eventually, it's gonna be fire and emergency management too. And I think that's something that's gonna be kind of unavoidable.
I'll bring it up to John and find out what is our best course of action to start that dialogue.
I just think as we're getting to the very beginning process of building that, it would be better to start talking about that now instead of waiting, as we've learned.
Right. Yeah. I'll talk to John and we'll figure out what's the best course of action. So, the open Station 5, thank you to, there are so many people in the county that touch base with this. Obviously, IT, Public Works, the clerk's office, the county counselor's office. This really was a team effort to get this done. And anytime I brought something forward to somebody, they made it a priority to get it done. So just thank you to so many people in the departments that kept us moving right along. So we'll continue to participate in mental health working group. Josh is part of the working group. I am part of the task force, as well as the opioid working group. I think we now call it the substance Misuse. Well,
We've used it sort of.
yeah, substance use task force, that's what it is. So, yes, we're working through the name at the last meeting. So, participated in the full scale exercise at Deer, really kind of a mini exercise. It only lasted a couple of hours. Our credentialing with our staff, which is our biannual testing, is wrapping up. I'm very pleased with how that's going. I really am happy with what our staff are putting forth. All the new employees for the new station and all of that, all of those have passed field training requirements and they're operational. Shout out to the employee training day staff. Josh is part of that group, and they put a lot of work into that. That really is a year-round program. That's not something that they just put together, you know, on an afternoon. So they put a lot of time into that. So kudos to them. Last week we had a Board of EMS inspection. Have not got the final. I know all of our trucks, all of our supplies, everything there were no deficiencies. Now we're just waiting on some of the paperwork that they have to go back and see what we have on file. Sure, it's in compliance, but our staff take great pride in that. And you know, that's all on them. So, and once again, no deficiencies, everything was right where it was supposed to be, how it was supposed to be, worked like it was supposed to. So a shout out to them. And then had 20 event standbys this month. Anything from soccer to high school football to K-State volleyball is going on now, but just lots of different events. So we just stay busy. Of course, basketball game is Wednesday, so we're preparing for that as well. Education have 100% review all calls, review data metrics, credentialing, as I said, and then we've had 2 big classes here in the last month. We put on an advanced medical life support for our staff. We had 9, I believe, in that class. It's a 2-day, 16-hour class. So those went well. And then finally, community outreach, as always, do the privacy check-ins. But then some of the demos we've done in the last month, and I know I'm missing 1 or 2 on here, but today was a scary movie at the senior center. They asked us, our staff, to come and talk to the seniors about how to calm themselves if they're watching the scary movie, because they said it was pretty scary. So our staff did some Google research on how to calm yourself while you're watching through a movie, and then they sat there and they watched the movie with them this afternoon. So it was unique. It was pretty neat, though. It was. I think they had a good time. But the Howland Crowd, Community Night Out, School Fitness Challenge, things such as that. So we're staying busy, getting out and being part of the community. And then you have you got something to say?
I'll leave it alone.
So, and then the breakdown of the call volumes by days, and the thing you'll notice there, Saturday, quite a bit busier. So this only shows 101 calls. This is only the calls where a patient form was filled out. This does not include K-State where somebody comes in, they just need a place to cool down, some water, get their vital signs taken. We don't put those into this because we call those patient contacts. Where this is a patient call, where we actually make somebody a patient. So, so that way this is standard. This is the same as it is every other month of the year. Football notwithstanding. So you'll notice busiest days, as you would expect, Friday and Saturday now, as life starts to pick up again with the students. So call volume by time is about the same, pick it up busier in the right after work and then in the evening hours. So and then that's call volume by station. Any questions?
I have an observation.
Okay.
I was thinking about this when we were opening up the station and start maybe using maybe a graphing system or something for this and making some comparisons, because people ask about, well, is there a need for the station at Public Works now, for instance? And it's hard to just answer that outright, but if you can make comparisons of the calls that you're receiving there over the course of time, do I don't know, 6 month comparison through graphs and maybe use September of 23 and then compare it to where you were at September 22. You know, what those calls were a year ago compared to now. Maybe even just a 3 month average or something, you can kind of track what's happening there. I don't know if you can use, for instance, OpenGov or one of our other softwares to develop that. Kind of gives us an indication of what's going on. Now, obviously for station 51, it's gonna be hard to do because we're just kind of starting out. And I thought maybe start out at the beginning of the year with that, start out in January, and then you've got a fresh set of data points and gives you a little bit of time that gives us all, including the public, some way of kind of looking at all volumes, and you don't have to do it hour by hour, but just and that's something, I mean, it's a different way of kind of looking at all the metrics and the data here. Just a thought. It's overkill. I don't know. Somebody was saying, well, I mean, not you at the news station up north, and we need one at Public Works, and I'm thinking, I've seen that go from somewhere about the mid-60s to 80 something. I'm thinking we kind of do. And
Well, it comes in,
yeah,
it covers the north part of Manhattan, the nursing homes are that state and then so, large, and large all the way down to, Bay Christie Village, Stony Brook and all, so. Yeah, it'll stay busy. Its call volume is probably gonna drop on, with Station 5 up there, but keeping in mind, Station 5 doesn't cover all the way from the North County line all the way to, just north of Public Works. It goes to just south of Riley. So, but, yeah. So.
it's been a good way to track that a little bit more depth, a little bit more visual.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
7:20, we have Angela Shinny with Ogden City Planner. Guess the mayor's not gonna be.
Sounds like it's not a real good version of it either.
He got his wife got sick over the weekend and he tested positive. So he wanted me to really apologize to you sincerely. Till 7.
Are you, Pat's daughter?
Ex-daughter.
Ex-daughter, okay.
I will be a shepherd soon. So,
Oh, okay.
but his grandkids are major. It's only great. So Bob and I kind of just discussed to give you guys an update on what we have going on over here in Ogden. You guys have written or approved several letters of support for funding we've applied for Riley Avenue. We haven't heard back on any of those funding sources yet. One of them might be suspect this week we'll hear back. But just found out if we don't get in this first round, there's a second round in December that we could possibly be funded for. So we appreciate you guys' support. The application or what we're applying for is primarily safety features for Riley Avenue. We've got this large neighborhood and low-income housing to the north, we've got the school and all the parks, all the services to the south. Getting people across Riley Avenue during, the kids are coming to school when the soldiers are going to work and coming home, so it makes it a challenge. This operates as a highway. We got between 12 and 16,000 cars a day travel Riley Avenue, so we've got a lot of traffic, and it's important that we make sure that our town's able to use it as Main Street, as well as it's still able to function for the post, because it's important that we keep the post, their network operational and working well. So that's what the grants that we're applying for would be to do, to update Main Street and get safety features implemented. So it works better for all modes of traffic and for the post as well. So we've applied for 3 grants currently. I will be applying for another, it's not really a grant, it's a program. You'll hear more about it, another application for that same program later tonight. But basically, most of the funds that are out right now would be capacity type building. So for federal funds, there's a lot of some check boxes that you have to have in place that you don't necessarily have to have for state funds. So these first round of grants would enable us to get some of those things done so that we can apply for construction for federal funds. So we appreciate your support, and we've been working diligently on getting something going here, and I think we've got some traction. As far as that goes, we've got some economic development stuff going on with the county not really having a lot of direction to grow for business and stuff. We're really working on getting some stuff going out on the east of town so that we can develop a business park or something like that as well out there. So the MCM project kind of spurred that, and I do think that eventually we'll. That's really one of the main places to grow is out between the airport and here. So we're excited for some of the people coming in asking questions about development and things like that. And I'll say I've been here for 10 years, and I feel like this is probably the last 2 years. We really feel like we have a lot of support regionally from the county, from regional partners, and even at the national level. So we appreciate all of you guys' support and help, and hopefully we get some of these things going. So you guys have any questions?
Talk about some living businesses downtown on Main Street.
We do. We have one new business that was just opened within the last 6 months. Lindy's Hair Supply. They're an ethnic. They do braiding, and she's an African lady. She's fantastic. She has a business in Manhattan as well. She's going to keep both locations open, but there's a real need with the soldiers here on base. There's not there's not a lot of those services available. So having that store open here in Ogden right off Post, I think it'll be great. She also bought the building, the old Pizza Hut next door, which we just did the fire inspection last week. Stacy's Heavenly Host, which is soul food. She currently is a caterer over in Junction City out of a church. So she's going to be opening up a restaurant with a drive-through catering business here in town. And then I don't know exactly what's going on. Subs and Such was talking to the property owners to try and get the old Subway here to reopen because they had to close in Manhattan. So I'm not sure exactly where that is at the moment, but that is something that's in the talks. So we're excited. We did just also finish the small area plan for the Avenue through Flint Hills Regional Council. That gave us some really good recommendations on economic development things, or not just the Riley Avenue corridor, but for Ogden in general. So we're going to begin working on implementing some of those things.
Sounds like you're really busy.
We're pretty busy. We're trying. We finally have some, I feel like we finally have some synergy from somebody besides just Angela in this position. So it's exciting for me. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7:30, Commissioner, you have any comments? Ann?
Good. I didn't know if it was possible to put it in here. Otherwise, I made copies.
Copies would be good.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I've made, I've made 4 copies, sorry. Maybe it's the one, so. I mean,
Do the automatic save, yeah, and
Skip to your. We haven't skipped you. You're not.
they were really mad you weren't here. Already ring again.
Are you ready, Ann? Okay.
Commissioners, I'm here this evening with Daphne McNally. She's from our office. She's our marketing expert. And so she's helping me this evening. A few updates for you. You may notice at our bus shelter locations around town that we have recently installed e-paper signs. And this is real-time signage. So if you're at the bus stop, it will tell you how soon the bus is going to be there in the location. We have 5 total. One will be going in a project at Fremont, North Manhattan, but that'll be installed next year. So right now we have 4. You're going to test those out, see how they perform. Very happy with it so far. They're have motion activated lights on them. And they're solar powered, and they also have a voice, how you would say it, but they have a voice function so that if you're not able to see signs, it will talk to you.
You'll find some pictures of them on social media next week. But if you try to take a picture with your phone, the numbers don't show, so they look like they're not working. So we gotta get out there with a digital camera. So you can see.
We have been seeing a modest increase in fare revenue since K-State stopped funding citywide fixed route services. However, we've also at the same time seen a decline in ridership, and this was expected. Vehicle delivery update for you, since this is your humor for the day. We ordered 3 Ford Transits in May. And 2 weeks ago, I found out, I asked, when can we expect delivery? And they said sometime in 2024. So that's how vehicle deliveries are going. So not too surprised.
Yeah, don't feel bad.
I know.
Get yours before ours, we might actually be mad.
So since we're here in Ogden tonight, Daphne and I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of focus on our painting. This is a service that serves Ogden directly. And it is a fixed route service that serves the Ogden Community Center with the fixed route system in Manhattan. We have gotten a grant from KDOT to expand the K-18 connector to Junction City. So we're working with Erie County officials to try to implement that. And so you'll be able to see here ridership. These are just the boardings, not exitings. Last year we had 4,405 boardings, and that's not quite back to where we were pre-COVID. But we also, Daphne's going to talk to you here about some funding opportunities that we have had to try to improve access to transit in Hallville.
So the first graph is a little easier to look at. Those are the passes that we received through grant funding. So that originally was the Howe Foundation, and then that funding was lost sometime early 2021. And then that was right at that plummet with COVID. And so that's what you'll see on the big descriptive graph there. But then right around that time, we started looking for newer sources, because what we've recognized is that when we give away free passes at this location right here, the ridership on the K-18 and at this stop is significantly increased. I think that's most likely due to the need in this community. I think we're all aware of that. Ogden does utilize those very well. Kim and I are very well acquainted, and they're calling me and asking for passes. So you'll see that we were awarded a deal grant, and that was used to kind of subsidize those passes until we were able to get some more funding through United Way. But I think this just goes to show that when you are able to provide people transportation and remove those barriers like cost, the ridership will increase. And so that's something like what Ann mentioned with the K-State situation. When you put a barrier, even if it's $1 fare, it really does affect that ridership. And so that's where funding is really crucial for us to be able to make sure that people have access.
So we also have a smaller segment of the population that uses our demand response service to get to and from. They may be older people, they may be people with disabilities, there may be people coming right now from Junction City, going to Junction City where we don't have that fixed route connection from Ogden to Junction. So you can see from that the majority of those trips are people coming to and from Junction City and Erie County. Kind of interesting. Of the total demand response trips, over 65% are people going to and from work. 17% are medical rides, and then we have an assortment of other trip purposes, but those are the two big categories. We did some survey work over in Manhattan with just the fixed route ridership in general, and we did find on the fixed route ridership that about 50% of all of those riders are going to work or they're going grocery shopping. And people riding the bus, 67% of those riders do not have any access to a household vehicle. And as you may be aware, in the 2022 Community Needs Assessment, the Flint Hills Wellness Coalition provided, transportation was identified as the most critical need in Manhattan. So we're very grateful again for the support of Riley County, and we're very grateful here in all of this to the help provide different services. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Say right on cue, the bus was out there and now it's showing up. I don't know if that was planned. I do see a lot of people. I work out. So today, but I thought we'd seen pre-COVID for sure. I'm wondering if that's how big changes in the city, but
Well, if they're coming from Junction, they come here, then they hop on to the K-18, the fixed route, right into Manhattan.
Lawrence also has a contract with us.
correct.
Yeah, they're staff, right?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
You think you're now?
Yeah, let's go.
Jared, are you ready? How you doing? Good, thank you.
Bless you.
Sure, it's Winslow Cynthia. Give you a little update about some of the things. One thing we're working particularly, and that is thriving communities program grant, TC calling it, working with Angela at Ogden on this. So I just wanted to let you know what this is. And we're useful or we're not in this endeavor. So this is a grant, like it says at the top, to provide technical assistance, planning, capacity building to advance information and community activities. What does that mean? What are we looking for locally? We're looking to expand the work we did a few years ago on the regional connection. Was an idea of, hey, we have our towns and our cities, and we have these wonderful outdoor assets, whether it's concerts, Creek, or Kansas River, or whatnot. So we've heard a lot of feedback from people that they'd like to be able to go out, go on a trail to these things that are close by, between towns, potentially more of a recreational style thing. Some transportation, but mainly recreational. So we looked at a high level, where should we connect? What were some potential options? Pretty high level funding stuff. We would like to go out with this in more details. You have. So what that detail would be things like cost estimates. Option A, route A costs this much money. So we could actually get a planned budget and see where it goes from there. Or hey, this is private land ownership. How do you go about starting the process? What have other communities done to get these things done? Or should it be on the right? These sorts of ideas, talking about things like this. We've looked at right-of-way trails, things that go beside the roadway, which are much less pleasant, but maybe it's easier to do. We also talked about greenways, which would be more along the river would be ideal. Things of that nature. Riverwalk Trail in Junction City is a great example of kind of what we envisioned. So this grant would really help us have a contractor that knows what they're doing and take to the next level, sort some of those things out. Partners, see on the map there, I have 5 green checks. That's who's on board so far. We're speaking with Erie and Potawatomi counties as well. You just, like I said, we're asking you tonight to see if it's something that you support. And the cost to you, here's the big one. We're not asking for any financial support at this time, nor if the grant were to be received. You'll have staff time. What we would request if we were awarded the grant would be to talk to the training staff and your parks and recreation staff as needed to get project specific information. But we're not talking about requesting funding here at all.
Yeah, this program, there's no funds associated with the part of this program you're selected. You have somebody else that gets the direct funds and they just don't.
So, and so again, we don't need any formal action tonight. We just wanted to bring this to your attention, let you know this is something we would like to pursue across the region. But as it pertains to Riley County, to see the difference of us having Riley County as a partner in these other jurisdictions. You can see the date there that we don't answer by tonight. By the 15th. So we don't. This will be highly competitive. There's not that much money federally, but we stand a decent chance. But worth going after.
They're very interested in regional projects like this. So we have a very strong application.
We define high level trail connectivity.
Yeah, so like we talked about the high level will be segments like this. Ogden to Fort Riley, or Ogden to Junction City, Ogden to Manhattan, Manhattan to Blue Junction, Manhattan to Tuttle Creek State Park. These gaps for these locations and assets that we know we should. I mean, it's 2 miles between Manhattan and State Park. Yeah, there is no safe way to get there outside of the vehicle. So looking at how do we do that here? Ogden to Manhattan. We looked at high level. We're sure we could maybe take Skyway over to Wild Factory, things like that, or we could maybe go from the riverfront park river. So we looked at those general ideas. This would look in depth at what would actually be needed to do that.
They do feasibility to see what route's going to be the most cost effective, what's going to be the most desired by the public, because those might not be the same thing. Yeah, so, feasibility study for that also, if we're connecting with Fort Riley, there's some major pieces of security there that have to be worked out.
That's my biggest question here with that on the Fort Riley piece, because also is that kind of in between here, but some connectability by a waterfront, several other barriers. So graphically speaking, in the midst of that.
We've had high level talks as a region about all of this. I mean, each little town has kind of decided where they would want the trail to go through. I mean, ours would go from Fort Riley through town down to the river. I think every jurisdiction has probably had those high level talks. This would bring in a partner that would bring us all together to the table and find the best route and kind of formalize this plan and where the direction it would actually go.
And at the end of it, we would have a list of option A costs this much, option B costs this much. And it wouldn't be, once we had those, all of a sudden we're going to do them. It would just be a tool for us to someday, if there is funding or another grant to build, we would be able to say, this is how much money it's going to cost to do this or this. And the way I see it is we would do one segment here, one small segment there, and just piecemeal it together. It won't be, we're doing 50 miles at one time. It's just getting us an idea of what is actually feasible and how much it will cost.
Right now, it's pie in the sky. I mean,
Yeah.
we just talked about it and it's kind of been floated and we've all said, oh, this is where I'd like to go, but there's no real information or data about what would actually work. So this would be to kind of formalize that.
So is our county staff been involved in this?
Talked with a little bit with planning, it's been mentioned, but we have not gone, but that's chapter.
This discussion.
We're not the high level.
No, regionally, not sorry, on that plan from several years ago, absolutely.
Oh,
Yes, that plan, yeah, it's absolutely right on this, we did plan.
Start talking to
Yeah, before we do. And I don't know how much that will involve. It'll be applying for this.
So no, that's.
Yeah, it would be very minimal to them. It would be in the future and so say, we're looking at these things, what are your thoughts on what issues you have and what would you like to see? Just keeping them in the loop. Patient. They would not be leading this.
I know in around the Manhattan area, I have particularly there's gaps. We hear about it. I don't know what collectively we can do. This gets us a little bit closer to that at some point in time. I mean, that'd be encouraging. Whether it's commercial, residential, or whatever happens in those particular areas, it's going to be a necessary part of that.
And I could see building, I could see that segment someday, KDOT comes in and works on 24. We have this plan identified, we know it's gonna cost this much, we say, hey, 20 or 9 to 10. So instead of us locally paying for it all, we're leveraging a bigger project, we're gonna KDOT's to, but we'd be able to say, we've done this work. This is what we're doing.
Identified several areas besides 13. 13 is in trouble areas along that 24 corridor too. But not all of them, but several of them along the way there would match up with that.
I'll say a lot of the little, I mean, Ogden, I know the pipe was maybe don't matter to you, but I mean, we're very interested in having, kind of a river corridor area that we're going for in this area. It's great. It would be great for the economy. If they haven't opened up Oklahoma City, like a whole river corridor, we can do that here. So
We're talking about that 2 years ago, and those connections were going all the way, not just from here, but really all the way to eastern Shawnee County.
But all of Kansas City, that's so we also have at the same time the master plan, which we National Park Service on that. That's kind of fallen on the way. That's kind of secondary. I think this is more of there will be overlap between the river connections and the trails. This is more
Yes.
I know it. But we are still looking at that. We're just dependent upon someone else's time frame. And it's been pushed. Gotcha.
We would kind of like them to coincide.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to coordinate.
Yeah.
Have things for-
We're trying to leverage what's available and what we can get from.
Has there been any talk or discussion with the university?
On the river trail, absolutely there has, working with Professor this spring, doing the work that what the National Park Service was going to do. We're working with the Omaha office for that and have just been told other projects, and so there's a connection there between professor and that staff up there, so they're gonna have the students do that river segment of it, which would tie in quite well. It's gonna be an assessment of each community as an outsider or a first timer. You know, a lot of the feedback we get on the river are people that are on the river all the time. They see it differently than someone like me that's never done it. And we want to make it easy, you know, a good experience for anyone that tries it. So we're gonna have students do that part of it. And then that information will feed back in. It's also gonna look at the connection from the landing, the boat dock, and that area to the towns. What is that like? What do they see? And so I think this, especially on the riverside, could definitely tie in if we're going on trips.
I'd like to hear it. Let's do that.
Jared, if you draft that up and then get Cindy Hayes and she'll put on the business meeting for the commissioners to consider.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking forward to November 15th.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's the last item on our agenda tonight. Is there any other, anything else?
To adjourn the October 30th pre-Halloween meeting. Of the Brandon County Commission.
Second.
That sounds good.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the October 30th meeting of the Raleigh County Commission. All in favor?